Today I'm going to share a secret with you. The most underused feature of Excel is the use of macros. Macros save you time. Macros eliminate boring tasks, but most importantly, you learn a new skill that will take your use of Excel to a different level. In this video, you will learn macros at your own pace by creating a simple 10-step macro routine. Together, we are going to craft a useful accounting records table that we will update automatically using a macro that transfers data from a data entry form and updates the accounting records table at the click of a button. As we move through the presentation, we will help you identify the series of actions and commands that you will need to automate. The template has been carefully crafted to allow you to both visualize and complete each step. By the time we finish, I guarantee that you will wonder why you never used macros before. Now, whilst macros save a lot of time, they must be carefully planned. So, part 1 of this tutorial concentrates on planning and then creating the various components that we will use. Okay, let's get to work. Open up a new workbook and make sure that you have 3 worksheets. Rename these worksheets Data Entry Form, Tables, and Accounting Records. Navigate to the Data Entry Form and in the range C4 through to C11, enter in the headings as shown on screen. In cell D4, enter a date for this transaction, and in D5, enter ABC Limited. We want to analyse this transaction as advertising costs, but as we have many analysis types, it would help us if we created a table listing all of these. So, move quickly onto the Tables worksheet and in the range D3 through to D15, copy in the analysis types as shown. Let's give this range a name. So with D4 through to D13 highlighted, select the Formulas ribbon and then pick up the Define Name tool. In the dialog box that opens, enter in the name Analysis and click OK to save and close. Move back to the data entry form and with cell D6 active, choose the Data ribbon and from there select the Data Validation tool. Select List from the Allow field and in the Source field enter equals Analysis. A drop-down box now appears to the right of cell D6, inviting you to select from one of the 10 items. Please choose Advertising. In cell D7, we want to enter in the department name for this transaction. We have 5 departments in our organisation, so let's create a table to identify them. Navigate back to the Tables worksheet and enter in the values as shown in the range E4 through to E8. And in cell E3, enter the heading Department. We will give this range a name, but we will do this using a different method to that used for the analysis table. Highlight the range E3 through to E8. Note that we are including the Department header cell. Select the Formulas ribbon and then choose the Create From Selection tool. In the dialog box that opens, make sure that the top row box is the only one checked and then click OK to save and close. Move back to the data entry form and select cell D7. From the Data ribbon, select once again the Data Validation tool. In the Allow field, select List and in the Source field enter equals Department. Save and close the Data Validation dialog box and then from the drop-down box select the Sales Department. Now enter the gross value of this transaction in cell D8. Type in 120. We now want to calculate the taxes on this transaction. In our location, there are 4 tax rates that we could apply. So, as before, it would be easier to create a small table to list these. Navigate back to the tables worksheet and in the range F4 through to F7, enter in the percentage values as shown. Now, let's give this range a name. We have already seen how to do this in 2 different ways. Firstly, by using the Define Name tool for the analysis range, and then the Create From selection tool for the department range. For the taxes table, we will use the name box method. So, with F4 through to F7 selected, place your cursor inside the name box towards the top left of your worksheet. Overtype the contents with the name tax rate with no spaces and press the Enter key. And that's it. A new name has been created for the range F4 through to F7. A heading is optional, but for tidiness I have entered the heading of tax rate in cell F3. Move back to the data entry form and with cell D9 active, pick up the data validation tool once again. In the Allow field, choose List, and in the Source field, enter equals tax rate with no spaces. And from the drop-down box, select the 20% tax rate. Now skip a row and move to cell D11. We want to record the net value of this transaction. The net value is the gross value less the tax element. We know the gross value is 120, which is stored in cell D8, and we want to calculate the tax element by reference to the tax rate stored in cell D9. The formula becomes plus D8 divided by, open brackets, 1 plus D9, and close the brackets. This returns the value of 100. Navigate to cell D10 and enter in the formula plus D8 minus D11, which is simply the difference between the gross and the net value. Hopefully you have the value of 20. Apply some formatting to the range D4 through to D11 such that numeric values are set to 2 decimal places and percentage values are set to 0 decimals. And from the page layout ribbon, uncheck the View Grid Lines box to give our worksheet a clear and crisp neutral background. OK, we have now completed our basic data entry form, into which we can easily enter our business transactions. In the next section, we will use Excel's macro routines to automatically transfer the individual transaction data in the data entry form into a consolidated table, which we will create on the Accounting Records worksheet. Right, now for the interesting part. Take a look at my completed Accounting Records table. The basic format contains all of the headings that we have in the data input form, and if you look carefully at line 1, you will note that it contains the exact data that we have on the current data input form range of D4 through to D11. The Accounting Records table has totals at the top of the form, and the end of the table is clearly shown on the yellow bottom row. Our task is to automatically update the Accounting Records table with the data as entered on the data entry form. So, let's get to work. Firstly, check that you have the developer ribbon showing in your version of Excel. If it's not there, then you will need to gain access to it. Now, by default, the developer ribbon is not loaded automatically by Excel's installation routines. So, if the ribbon is not showing, then from the File menu, select Options at the bottom left of your screen, and then choose the Customize Ribbon option, and then check the Developer box in the right-hand dialog box. Click OK to save and close. Hopefully the developer ribbon will now appear alongside the standard ribbons at the top of your worksheet. Select the range C4 through to C11 on the Data Input worksheet. Press Ctrl C to copy the data, and now navigate to the Accounting Records worksheet and then select cell C4. From the Home ribbon, pick up the Paste tool. Click on the small downward pointing arrow to see your paste options. From the options available, choose the Transpose option. This turns a vertical list into a horizontal list, copying the exact cell values. That's great. We now have the correct headings for our accounting records table. We can use the same transpose routine to copy the data values from the data input table into the accounting records table. Let's try it out. Firstly, highlight the range D4 through to D11 on the data input worksheet. Let's give this range a name. So with D4 through to D11 highlighted, select the Formulas ribbon and then the Define Name tool. Enter the name of data and click OK to save and close. With the data range still highlighted, press Ctrl C to copy this range and then navigate to cell C5 on the Accounting Records worksheet, and from the Paste tool select once again the Transpose option. The data is copied across correctly. We need to automate this routine, but we also need to make sure that the data is copied into the correct place in the accounting records table. Then we need to delete the contents of our data input form so that we can enter a new transaction. Each step of this process needs to be tested, and once successful, it needs to be recorded as an Excel macro. Navigate to the Accounting Records worksheet and delete the contents in row 5, and also make sure that there is no data in row 5 downwards. Select cell C6 and type in the word END. With C6 still active, pick up the Formulas ribbon and then select the Define Name tool. In the dialog box that opens, enter in the name END. Click OK to save and close. Navigate back to the Data Entry worksheet. From the name box in the top left-hand side of your worksheet, click on the downwards pointing arrow, and from the list that appears, select END and then press Enter. This automatically takes you back to the Accounting Records worksheet, and specifically to the cell named END. As we add more rows to the Accounting Records table, the relative position of the cell with the name END will change, i.e. it will move one row down for each new line of transaction data. This is enormously helpful to us. We know that by selecting the END name from the name box will always take us back to a fixed position relative to the rest of the worksheet. We will see the benefits of this shortly. Navigate back to the Data Entry worksheet. Once we have copied the transactional data from the data entry form, we need to clear the contents of the form. The specific cells that we need to clear are in the range D4 through to D9. So let's give this range a name. With D4 to D9 active, click in the name box and overtype the contents with the word delete and then press Enter. Let's check that the delete name range is working correctly. Select cell D2 and then from the name box choose the name delete. Hopefully the range D4 through to D9 is highlighted. Please note that the cells D10 and D11 contain formulas. We do not want to delete these. Now go back to the Accounting Records worksheet. Once we have copied the data from the data entry form into the Accounting Records table, we need to add a new line to the accounting records table such that the table is ready to receive the next set of transactions. This would be the last routine that we need to perform, and we can do this quite simply by using the insert row command. But importantly, this new line must be located one line above the row in which our end name is located. Let's have a practice and see if we can successfully combine all of these routines together without making an error. So, number 1, go to the names box and select data. Number 2, press Ctrl+C to copy the data. Number 3, go to the names box and select end. 4, navigate up one cell. 5, paste and transpose the data. 6, go to the names box and select end. 7, insert a line. 8, go to the names box and select the name delete. 9, hit the delete key to delete the contents. And finally 10, navigate back to cell D4 at the start of the data entry form. How did you get on? Did you get it right? Well, if you didn't get it right, don't worry. Just keep practicing until you do get it right, making sure that you undo your work before you start over. Okay, once you're happy with the routine, then let's create a macro to completely automate the entire process. Let's quickly reinstate our original values in the data entry form, and then delete all the contents of the accounting records form, leaving just one blank row above the end line. And now, from the developer ribbon, select the Record Macro tool. Accept the default name of Macro 1 and make sure that the Store Macro field says This Workbook. Then click OK to save and close. Click once on the Use Relative References tool. Now repeat the complete routine that we have practiced to perfection. Go to the names box and select data. Press Ctrl+C to copy the data. Go to the names box and select end. Navigate up one cell. Now paste and transpose the data. Go to the names box and select end. Insert a line. Go to the names box and select the name delete. Hit the delete key to delete the contents and navigate back to cell D4. Finally, click the Stop Recording button from the Developer ribbon. And this completes and saves your macro. Now check your work out. Make sure that the accounting records table has populated correctly and that you have a fresh line ready to take your next data set. Go to the data entry worksheet and make sure that you now have a blank data entry input form. Enter in a new set of data transactions in the blank form. Now, from the Developers ribbon, select the Macros tool. From the Macros dialog box that opens, select Macro 1 and then click on Run. Hopefully the automated process works successfully and that the accounting records table has populated correctly and that you now have a blank data entry form. Let's format the data input form and the accounting records form. On the data input form, change the row heights of row 4 through to row 11 to about 25. This has the visual effect of enlarging the data entry form. Then copy in the format as shown in screen, but do not make any changes to the data formatting in the range D4 through to D11, as these format changes would then be incorporated into the Macro 1 routines. Move to the accounting records table and then apply the formats and narratives as shown. Once again, do not change the formats between the green and white headers in row 4 or the rows directly above the yellow end line. Finally, enter some totals in cells G2, I2 and J2 by using the sum command to pick up the ranges from row 5 up to and including the yellow end line. In the final section, we will add a clickable graphic that we can use to enhance the automation of macro 1. We will then examine the VBA code in our macro 1 routine and add another routine to it by creating a new macro which we will then incorporate into the original macro 1 routine. Go to the data entry worksheet and from the Insert ribbon pick up the Illustrations tool. From here select Icons and then type in the word Interface in the text box. From here select one of the Send To icons and place this roughly as shown on screen. With the icon selected, right-click your mouse and select the Assign Macro option. And from the Assign Macro dialog box that opens, pick up Macro 1. Now click on OK to save and close. And let's test it out. Populate the data entry table and then click on the icon. The routines in Macro 1 are run through and hopefully all is performing correctly. Let's have a look at the Visual Basic for Applications VBA code for Macro 1. From the Developers ribbon, choose the Macros tool. Highlight Macro 1 and click on the Edit button. The VBA code dialog box opens. This will probably look very unfamiliar to you, but please concentrate on the highlighted section and read each line carefully. Do the commands look familiar? They should do, as these are simply the coding equivalents of the Macro 1 routines. They are sandwiched between the top sub and the end sub demarcations. We will return to these later. After reviewing our work to date, we now decide that the 20% tax rate is almost always the entry we need. So let's create a macro subroutine such that the 20% rate is always pre-selected. To do this, we'll give the cell D9 on the data entry table a name. So with D9 active, type in the word rate in the name box as shown. Now highlight cell D4 on the data entry form and then with the data entry form blank, select the developer ribbon and then pick up the Record Macro tool. Accept the default name of Macro 2 in the Macro Name field and then make sure that you have this workbook in the Store Macro In box and now click OK. From the name box select Rate to position your cursor in cell D9 and then type in 0.2 and press enter. Now select cell D4 and then from the developer ribbon click on the Stop Recording button to save and close Macro 2. We can now test out this new macro. Enter the new data into the data entry form as shown and then click on the Send To icon. The macro works fine, but note that the cell D9 on the data entry form is blank. Now from the Developers ribbon select the Macros tool. Choose Macro 2 and then click the Run button. Hopefully the tax rate is now showing 20% and that your cursor has returned to the top of the form in cell D4. That's great. Let's now incorporate this new macro into our existing Macro 1. Pick up the Macros tool once again and from there choose Macro 2 and now click on the Edit button. Highlight the area as shown on screen. Copy this selection by using the Ctrl+C shortcut key And now close the Macro 2 VBA dialog box, and from the Macros tool select Macro 1 and then click the Edit option. Navigate to the end of the VBA code just after ActiveCell.select and press Enter to start a new line. Now press Ctrl+V to paste your Macro 2 VBA code into the Macro 1 VBA code. Close the Macro 1 VBA dialog box and the data is saved automatically. Populate the data entry form with a new set of data and now click the Send To icon. The whole posting routine is completed and the tax rate has been preset at 20%. Test out the complete process for a few more lines and change the tax rate percentage if required. You should find that it all works nicely. And that's it. We now have an accounting records template that is automatically updated via the data entry form. Now, finally, as our workbook contains macros, you must save the file as a macro-enabled workbook. This gives the file the .xlsm extension, which denotes an Excel file that contains VBA. We do hope that you enjoyed watching this video and that there was lots of content that you found both useful and informative. If you would like a copy of this spreadsheet template, then please do subscribe to our channel and give this video a big thumbs up. You can also visit us on one of our channels on Facebook, Instagram or Twitter. Now, if you are a small business and you want to keep your accounting records using a spreadsheet, then why not watch our How to Keep Your Accounts in Excel video. And if you would like to get a copy of this spreadsheet, then please watch our free Mr. Spreadsheet templates video for full instructions. Thank you once again for watching.